My wife left me for a wealthy man, but after the divorce, she ended up broke. Hi, I'm Matt, 36. Yeah, I'm the guy who got hit by a train called Lisa, my wife of 12 years. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., and I'm passed out on our raggedy couch after working a double shift at the garage. My hands still smell like engine oil. My back feels like it's made of cement. And I'm dreaming of, I don't even know, maybe winning the lottery or eating a steak that isn't microwaved. You know, the little joys. Suddenly, I hear her voice, sharp as a damn knife. Matt, wake up! We need to talk. Now I've seen enough TV to know nothing good starts with those words. I sit up, groggy as hell. And there she is, Lisa, 34, my wife, in her satin robe, looking like she just walked out of a luxury ad for heartbreak. She's standing in the middle of the living room, her perfect blonde hair tied back like she's ready for business. And boy, was she. I'm leaving you, she says, calm as a yoga instructor. No build-up, no soft landing, just boom. Straight into my chest like a wrecking ball. I blink at her, trying to figure out if I'm still asleep. Wait, what? Leaving me? Like, leaving? My brain's running on fumes, and she's already flipping through the next chapter of her life like it's a magazine. Her response? Yes, Matt, I'm moving in with Mark. Mark. Freaking Mark. Oh, you don't know Mark. Let me introduce him. He's the super successful entrepreneur from Lisa's gym, which I now realize was less of a fitness center and more of a matchmaking service. This guy wears tailored suits to brunch, posts motivational quotes on social media, and probably has a neon sign in his apartment that says, "Hustle." I'm sitting there, mouth open, still trying to catch up, and she's already planning her escape like she's in some heist movie. This isn't working anymore, she adds, as if our marriage was just a bad Wi-Fi connection. Then, cherry on top, she says, "It's not you, Matt. It's me." Are you kidding me? I managed to choke out. Lisa, we have 2 kids, a mortgage. You can't just walk out. Oh, I'll send for the kids on Tuesday, she says, like she's confirming an Amazon delivery. Tuesday? Is that when her new mansion with Mark's overpriced cologne gets Wi-Fi installed? And that's when I notice it. The post-it note. Yes, folks, she left a goddamn post-it on the coffee table with a scrawl that read, "Sorry, take care, kids on Tuesday." I mean, at least she had the courtesy to use her expensive gel pen. Real classy. She stood there, not even looking guilty. Nope, she's filing for emotional bankruptcy with her perfect manicure. Meanwhile, I'm over here drowning in confusion, betrayal, and exhaustion from a 16-hour shift. I couldn't even muster a full sentence. Just sat there like an idiot, staring at her, wondering how I got downgraded from husband to post-it recipient. When she finally left, I looked at the clock. 2:17 a.m. That's how long it took for Lisa to nuke our life together and move on to her gym-sponsored sugar daddy. And me? I stayed on that couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking, dude, what the hell just happened? Turns out, Lisa didn't just pack her stuff. She took a wrecking ball to my financial life on the way out. Yeah, not only did she leave me with her gym membership breakup speech, but she also drained our joint savings account. Completely. I checked the balance the next morning, and guess what? $8.43. $8.43. Enough for a gas station coffee and maybe one donut if I didn't add sprinkles. Meanwhile, Lisa? She's probably popping champagne with Mark in their new mansion. Or knowing her, at least pretending it's hers for Instagram. Oh, and don't think she forgot to max out the credit cards on her way out the door. No, Lisa is thorough. Like a tornado in Louboutins. She left me with nothing but unpaid bills, a mortgage I couldn't handle on my own, and 2 kids who thought, "Mommy's just on a little trip." Sure, kids, Mommy's on a vacation. It's just one way and all-inclusive with her new boyfriend. So, there I was, sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a bank statement that basically laughed in my face. I called up my buddy Pete, who happens to be a lawyer, or at least close enough. He graduated law school and passed the bar, so I figured he'd know what to do. Pete shows up with his briefcase, which I'm pretty sure is just for show, because it was empty when he opened it. He takes one look at the situation and goes, "Matt, this looks bad. Real bad." "No kidding, Pete. I could have told you that." But wait, it gets worse. Lisa didn't just stop at cleaning out the account. Oh no, she used our money. Yes, the same money I earned fixing cars for 12 hours a day to hire the meanest, most ruthless divorce lawyer in town. I'm talking about the kind of attorney who shows up to court in stilettos and destroys lives for sport. This lady doesn't just fight dirty. She invents new ways to humiliate her opponents. And me? I'm sitting there with Pete, whose main advice is, maybe try not to lose the house? Thanks, Pete. Super helpful. Meanwhile, Lisa's lawyer probably has a PowerPoint presentation titled, "How to Obliterate Matt in 3 Easy Steps." I couldn't believe it. She was going to use my own hard-earned money to crush me like a bug in court. I mean, let's break this down. I'm the guy who stayed up late fixing broken faucets, who made PB&J sandwiches for the kids every morning, and who let her borrow my car for yoga class because her battery mysteriously died once a week. And this is my reward? Bankruptcy and a one-way ticket to Stressville, courtesy of my own bank account? If this were a movie, this is where the sad montage would play. Me, sitting in an empty living room, staring at bills I couldn't pay. Me, trying to explain to my kids why Daddy can't afford Happy Meals this week. And then, cut to Lisa, living her best life, sipping lattes with Mark and probably laughing about how she managed to fund her entire escape plan with my blood, sweat, and tears. But hey, the good news? I still had Pete, who, in his infinite wisdom, said, "Maybe we can fight back?" Oh yeah, Pete? Against Lisa and her attack dog attorney? That'll be like bringing a water gun to a flamethrower fight. But sure, let's see how that goes. Fast forward to divorce court. Lisa didn't just walk in. She made an entrance. Designer heels that screamed money well spent, a hairstyle so perfect it looked photoshopped, and an aura of confidence that could intimidate a CEO. She wasn't just here to win, she was here to demolish me. And judging by her smirk, she already knew she would. I, on the other hand, looked like a guy who had been awake for 72 hours straight, which wasn't far from the truth. My suit was cheap, my tie was crooked, and my best accessory was a folder of receipts, proving Lisa had drained our bank account and left me to fend off overdue bills, like they were wolves at the door. Not exactly the power look I was hoping for. Lisa's lawyer, whom I've dubbed Shark in Prada, wasted no time. She stood up, her voice dripping with polished venom, and painted me as a man stuck in the Stone Age. According to her, I was unsupportive of Lisa's personal growth, a financial liability, and wait for it, a detriment to her mental well-being. I half expected her to bring out a PowerPoint presentation with pie charts, showing how I single-handedly ruined Lisa's life. Meanwhile, Lisa sat there, nodding like she was in a TED Talk about her own greatness. When it was my turn to speak, I started to lay out my case. I explained how Lisa had emptied our savings, maxed out our credit cards, and left me with a mountain of bills that would take a miracle or 3 lifetimes to pay off. But every time I opened my mouth, Shark and Prada jumped in with another objection. Objection, hearsay. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, Matt exists. I started to wonder if I was the star of a hidden camera show called Let's Humiliate Matt in Court. The judge? Oh, he was a treat. He barely looked at me, flipping through papers like he was bored out of his mind. It was clear he'd already made up his mind, and spoiler alert, it wasn't in my favor. Every time Lisa's lawyer spoke, he nodded like she was reciting Shakespeare. When I spoke, crickets. Then came the verdict. Lisa got the kids, she got the house. She got a spousal support check so generous it could probably fund her next vacation with Mark. I, on the other hand, got absolutely nothing. Well, that's not true. I did get a lovely parting gift in the form of overwhelming debt and a court order to keep the payments coming. As the judge announced his decision, Lisa glanced at me for a split second. Not with guilt or regret. Oh no. It was the kind of look that said, "This is what you get." And then she walked out, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a victory march. Her shark lawyer followed close behind, probably ready to celebrate their flawless execution over martinis. I stayed seated for a minute, staring at the empty courtroom. My mind was blank. All I could think was, so this is what rock bottom feels like. When I finally stood up to leave, the bailiff gave me a pitying look, which was almost worse than the verdict. Outside, Lisa was nowhere to be seen, probably already planning how to redecorate the house I'd spent years working to pay for. Me? I sat in my car for a solid 10 minutes, trying to process how my life had gone from just okay to absolute dumpster fire in record time. While I was drowning in overdue bills and existential dread, Lisa and Mark moved into a 7-bedroom mansion with a pool shaped like a freaking $sign. Yeah, subtlety was clearly not their thing. From what I heard, Mark loved throwing parties to show off the place because nothing screams "I've made it" like a neon-lit pool and overpriced sushi platters. Meanwhile, my mansion was Jake's pull-out couch. Jake, my best friend since high school, had graciously offered me his living room, which came complete with a flat pillow, a squeaky frame, and his 90-pound bulldog, Duke, who believed the couch was his throne. Every morning, Duke would sit on my chest like he was collecting rent. I'd spend my days working overtime at the car repair shop, fixing busted transmissions and pretending I wasn't a walking cliché. I didn't even have time to feel sorry for myself. Every extra dollar I earned went straight into funding my weekly dad visits with the kids. Friday nights were sacred. I'd pick them up from Lisa's palace, which had its own security gate, by the way, bring them to Jake's place, and try to make it feel like home for a few hours. "Pizza night," I'd announce as I walked in with 2 large pepperoni pies and a bag of off-brand snacks. The kids, Max, 8, and Lily, 6, would light up like I was Santa Claus. We'd spread out on the floor with blankets, cartoons on the TV, and Duke shamelessly begging for crusts. For a few hours, it felt perfect, like we were still a family. But then came bedtime, the part where reality punched me in the gut. Lily would curl up next to me and ask, "Why can't we stay with you, Dad?" Max would chime in, "Yeah, why can't we live here?" What was I supposed to say? "Well, kids, Dad's currently cohabiting with Uncle Jake and his overly affectionate bulldog because Mom decided to upgrade to a guy who thinks neon pools are classy." Or maybe, "Sorry, your mom's too busy playing house with Mark to care about where I'm sleeping." Instead, I'd smile and say something lame like, "This is just for now, okay? We'll figure it out." But every time I said it, I felt like I was lying. After they fell asleep, Max with one arm slung over Duke and Lily clutching her favorite stuffed bunny, I'd sit there and stare at the ceiling, wondering how the hell I was going to make this work. The truth was, I didn't have a plan. I was just surviving day by day, clinging to these Friday nights like they were my lifeline. Meanwhile, Lisa was out there living her dream life, posting pictures of her new designer bags and Sunday fun day brunches with Mark. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of her social media, and it felt like salt in the wound. But I'd tell myself, at least the kids are happy, right? Or so I hoped. Lisa's so-called perfect life with Mark? It crumbled faster than a cheap cookie. Turns out, Mr. Entrepreneur wasn't rolling in success. He was drowning in debt. That $sign pool she loved to flaunt? Bank took it. Mansion? Good luck keeping up with the payments when creditors are knocking down your door. Lisa went from popping champagne to probably Googling, "Can you sell designer bags for rent money?" Then one night my phone rings. It's Lisa. Against every ounce of common sense, I pick up. Her voice is shaking, dripping with that classic feel sorry for me tone. "Matt," she starts, like she hasn't ghosted me for over a year. "Everything's a mess. Mark, he's not who I thought he was." "Oh, you mean the guy who thinks neon pools are an investment strategy isn't the next Jeff Bezos?" Shocking. She keeps going, painting herself as the tragic heroine of some Hallmark drama. Apparently, creditors were freezing their accounts, and the lifestyle she bragged about was imploding. She was so lost. "Sure, Lisa. Cry me a river." Then she drops the bomb. "Matt," she says, pausing for dramatic effect, "do you think you could maybe loan me some money? Just to get back on my feet?" I nearly dropped the phone. This woman, who drained our savings, left me for a guy with a fake Rolex, and had the nerve to sue me for spousal support, was now asking me for a bailout? I let her hang in silence for a few seconds, just long enough for her to stew in her own desperation, then hung up without saying a word. If there was ever a moment to let karma do its thing, this was it. The kids showed up one Friday, looking like they just walked out of a mystery novel. Max had this scrunched up, I heard something I shouldn't have face, while Lily was clutching her stuffed bunny like it had the answers. Before I could even ask, Max dropped the bomb. Dad, Mom and Mark were yelling about the police. Now, I'm no detective, but when Mark and police show up in the same sentence, you know something juicy is about to unfold. I casually leaned in. Oh, what were they saying? Max shrugged. Something about numbers and people taking stuff. Numbers and people taking stuff? Oh boy. That was all the breadcrumb I needed. A little digging. Okay, fine. I asked Jake to scroll through Lisa's sister's Facebook posts. Shout out to family gossip. Revealed the truth. Mark was under investigation for creative accounting practices. Translation: the guy had been cooking his books like he was auditioning for a culinary reality show. Spoiler alert, the IRS doesn't hand out Michelin stars. Lisa's dream life had officially gone from a glossy rom-com to a full-blown disaster flick. Creditors had swooped in like vultures on a buffet. Her assets? Frozen. Her gym membership? Cancelled. So long, free smoothies and treadmill selfies. Even her prized collection of designer handbags was being auctioned off to the highest bidder. I'm talking Birkin bags going for bargain bin prices. And yes, I did think about buying one. Not because I need a $5,000 purse. What would I even put in it? Wrenches? But just for the sheer irony of owning the trophy of her success. Imagine her face if I showed up to pick up the kids rocking one of those bags. Priceless. But I decided to hold off. After all, Lisa didn't need me rubbing it in. Life was already doing a fine job of that for her. Lisa showed up at the shop one afternoon, uninvited of course, and looking like she'd just stepped out of a reality show for people who make bad life choices. She had the full setup. Oversized sunglasses indoors, a Starbucks cup she definitely couldn't afford anymore, and the classic woe is me energy radiating off her. Matt, we need to talk, she said, her voice dripping with the kind of fake sincerity that made me want to laugh. I leaned against the workbench, wiping grease off my hands, and gave her the most uninterested look I could manage. Talk? Here? At my job? Sure, sounds convenient. For you. She ignored the jab and sighed like this was exhausting for her. Taking off her sunglasses for maximum drama, she started. I need you to take the kids for a while. I need space to figure things out. I let that sit for a second, pretending I hadn't just heard the most ridiculous request of the decade. Space? I said, eyebrows raised. Lisa, you've had space. Remember when you walked out and left me with a post-it note? That was plenty of space. She blinked, like she hadn't expected me to throw her own history back at her. Matt, things are complicated right now, she said, clutching that Starbucks cup like it was her emotional support latte. Oh, really? I shot back. Complicated? You don't say. You left me to figure things out, remember? And I did. Guess what? I'm not in the business of solving your problems anymore. You wanted your freedom, Lisa. Enjoy it. She stood there, stunned, like I'd just told her the sky wasn't blue. I just thought, she started, but I cut her off. No, Lisa. You thought I'd pick up the pieces every time your life fell apart. Not this time. She didn't argue, just turned on her heel and walked out, the click of her shoes echoing through the shop. As she left, I couldn't help but think. Some people create their own storms, then get mad when it rains. Well, Lisa, grab an umbrella. I'm out. By the time Mark's little house of financial cards came crashing down, and Lisa officially hit the completely broke milestone, life had done a full 180. With Mark facing jail time for his creative accounting adventures, red fraud, the court finally decided to revisit our custody arrangement. Spoiler alert, the judge actually got it right this time. I walked out of that courtroom with full custody of the kids. Lisa, She got hit with a shiny new child support order that, let's be real, might as well have been Monopoly money. Paying wasn't exactly an option when her assets were frozen, and her once luxurious life had downgraded to her sister's hand-me-down couch. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Meanwhile, the kids and I moved into a cozy little apartment. Not a mansion, sure, but it's ours. Max has his own corner for building his Lego masterpieces, and Lily decorated her wall with fairy lights and every crayon drawing she's ever made. And me? I'm officially the king of Friday night pizza and movie marathons. It's not glamorous, but it's home, and we're happier than we've been in years. As for Lisa, well, let's just say she's traded her Birkin bags for inspirational Instagram posts about learning from your mistakes. You know the type. Generic sunsets, captions like, "Sometimes the hardest times teach us the most important lessons." Translation, "I messed up royally, and now I'm trying to convince myself it's all part of some spiritual journey." Yeah, Lisa, keep posting those motivational quotes. Meanwhile, I'll be over here actually living the lesson.